Hey everybody, welcome to Vidivic Arts. I'm Josh, and today is probably our last video that we're ever going to have where I release a model onto Thingiverse. And I will be releasing another video as to the reasons why this is. But for now, let's just enjoy the model as it is. And here it is. It is a, well, it's a warthog kind of hybrid look for the new 40k models that are coming out for, I think it's the Primaris Marines. So the Space Marine genre, they're amping it up and they're changing a whole bunch of stuff. Now the reason why I have decided to make this model right here is because people really hate the look of this model right here. Now, there's also a bunch of memes that I'm just going to cycle through here, and you can see why people don't like it. It's a bit cartoonish, and honestly, in my opinion, I actually kind of think it just does not really gel well. I don't think it does, and I saw it before I saw the memes, and I'm like, oh, geez, they've kind of lost their touch with Space Marines with this one, I feel like. And I thought to myself, oh, well, you know, if everyone else is kind of on the bandwagon of not really liking this thing, why not just jump in and redesign it and do my own thing? So here's what I have designed. It is basically a warthog, let's face it, but it also has a whole bunch of different little things that make it way more Space Marine-y, and it's taking the good bits out of that model, this one, and trying to convert them into something that might be a little bit more palatable for everybody. Hopefully. Let's cross our fingers, hopefully. I think it looks really cool. I think I've had a lot of people already commenting on Instagram as to how it looks, and they seem to really like it. I think it's awesome. I've printed up 2 of these, so I'll get some going. And at the moment, you can see the paint scheme is pretty much the scheme that I'm going with my current army. And I've also designed it so you can change the shoulder pads and the helmet and the backpack for both of these, so you don't have to have it looking exactly like this. Now, this was completely printed over on an Ender 3 with the FDM PLA, and yeah, he came out really, really good. The quality's pretty on par. Every single piece is printed over there on FDM, except for the head of both of these guys. So they are resin heads, and there's no real reason for that. You can print that on an Ender 3, no problem at all. But yeah, you can see it's pretty cool. The wheels turn, and well, they turn before you glue them, and they don't rotate or anything. I've had so many people ask me, do they rotate? No, they don't rotate. And you can see right here, pretty much, it's proof that it was printed over on an Ender 3 with the filament as opposed to resin. Just you can tell if you've printed with an FDM printer, you know what those lines mean. Anyway, let's have a look at how this thing was actually put together and modeled. Now, I started this build pretty much from a cube. I had the model itself, so I had the look of the model that Games Workshop has made for the, you know, the future 40k models that they have. So this is that buggy, or it's an ATV, I think. I get what they were going for, but I don't think they hit the mark with this one. But yeah, I understand what they were going for. It's kind of like a mongoose kind of thing. I feel like if they went more down the road of mongoose, where the guy on the back is just holding a bolt gun or something, it might look pretty cool. But that just something doesn't work right with this model, and I'm not the only one. So yeah, you can see here pretty much using a bunch of cubes and changing the shape of it and getting that general first you know, silhouette of the model that I'm going for. Fortunately, I actually drew this beforehand, which I'll show you, and we can have a comparison of the models side by side. And yeah, it's always a good idea to draw models beforehand. You don't have to be an expert drawer either. You can just doodle whatever you want and do your best to try and match it as best as you can. I feel like just drawing it, you get a greater understanding of what you're working on to begin with as well, because I drew the model of the ATV, which is the official Games Workshop model, and that without doing that, I wouldn't have known exactly what I was doing, especially when I was redrawing it in my own version. So definitely it helps me a lot to draw the model before I get into it, and this was no exception, because I don't think I could have done it without without some drawings. And yeah, I think this also kind of the end result looks very close to a land speeder, which I ended up finding out that people have made a few conversions already with land speeders to make ATVs, and I find it kind of odd that Games Workshop didn't do the same kind of thing, where they basically designed their their vehicle off of something that already exists. I don't know, maybe they're just I'm really confused with their design on this one. I think it works in some cases, and in others not so much. So with the land speeder, they have that front plate that guards the pilot and only the pilot. I thought it made more sense to have it guard both of the passengers, because, well, bullets flying at them, it's probably better to have a plate in front of them than nothing at all, which the original actual model has. It's got no armor plating whatsoever, which is just ridiculous. This is all just my own opinion. It's all open to speculation. Now, one of the cool ideas that I had here was these little plates on the sides. They're basically little foot plates, but I want to have it so you can have a model sit in the passenger seat, and you can rotate that leg plate down and have him resting on it completely. So you could either have like a rocket launcher or like a heavy machine gun or something, and be firing out of the side, and have that little thing to rest their foot on. Now, the other idea I had with this was to have the suspension like lower and raise, so you could have it closer to the ground if it wanted to have a lot of speed, and you could have it higher off the ground if it was to be like fully off-road. But I ended up ditching that idea because it made the car bigger than a Rhino, and that was just too big. It was just too big. So I brought the wheels back in later on and made it a lot more tighter fitting compared to what I was working with here. Now, pretty much everything in this process is a time-consuming job, but there's one little cool, tiny little detail that you might not be able to see because this is on YouTube, but in the bottom right-hand corner, you can actually see the amount of time it takes literally to make this, and currently it is at 2:50, and or almost 2:50, and it has also the date of when I made this, but it's fast forwarded, I think, 1000%, so you're watching this at 1,000 times faster than normal. And yeah, I think that's a really cool little interesting thing. If you go through my videos, you will actually see on that little bottom hand corner how fast I actually take to make these models. Sometimes I speed these videos up way faster than humanly possible, but I also have my older videos, I didn't lock the camera like I do with these. So that's just a little inside scoop if you're interested in seeing how, or just want to know how long it takes to make these. Now, I was thinking while making this, if you guys aren't aware of the Warthog from Halo, definitely go look it up, because it's one of the coolest vehicles, one of the coolest vehicles out there, especially for this style of like shooter. So you got a back passenger shooter and some passengers. It's definitely worth looking at because this is almost entirely inspired by it. And it could easily fit into that the Scorpion build that I made previously, so these could go hand in hand if you wanted to, or you could just grab the model and customize it for yourself if you really wanted to as well. But one of the things that the Warthogs do in Halo is have the ability to customize the back. Not so much that you can customize the back, but the developers, or Bungie, made it so that back piece was actually customizable. So they had different variations. They had the Gorse cannon, they had the rocket cannon, the machine gun turret, and they also had the troop transport. Now, this vehicle is completely open to those possibilities as well. As long as I make those pieces, all you have to do really is customize that turret just a tiny bit, and you should be able to put anything you want on there. But you don't have to print that turret at all if you didn't want to. You could just have it as a transport vehicle, so it could be a bunch of crates that you put in the back, or anything that you wanted to, really. And I might have it so you can put an Imperial Guardsman or something in the driver's seat, because there will be two different variations of this. one with a driver and one without, so you're more than welcome to customize it to your heart's content, and you don't have to use this for Space Marines if you don't want to. But yeah, it's there, it's all open, and it's completely up to you. Now, one of the other things that I added in this, and it was in rather late on, I saw that the original ATV has like a heavy machine gun, bolt gun at the front, and I drew my designs without that, and I thought to myself that it looked a bit blank without it, so I decided to come back and add some heavy bolters. Now, the heavy bolters I used were from a turret that I made that was inspired entirely from the Dawn of War franchise. So if you're interested in the Dawn of War turret from that game, it's available over on my Patreon. Just for anyone interested in that, just thought I'd put that out there. But yeah, that's where I got the turret from, or the front guns later on. And yeah, this is pretty much exactly how I wanted the model to look in the end. I'm like overwhelmed by how close I got my sketch to the model. It's just it's a really awesome process, especially when you can watch back like right now and just watching this be made, and I'm looking at the picture and it's just really cool because you get in the headspace and you get the work done. And yeah, I'm kind of rambling right now, I've just noticed. So what am I talking about? These wheels. Now, the design of these wheels, from the start, I wanted them to be able to rotate, so you weren't locked into a single pose. And the idea behind that is pretty much they've got cylinders that are cut out of those wheels, and they've got the cylinders that they sit on. So when you print this, you'll have the entire vehicle, and the wheels will be separated, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty easy, and when you glue it together, you can choose which way you want the wheels to be facing. You can have them going straight or turning or whatever you want. That's what I really love about these newer models that I'm working on, especially, is the range of customization that you can put into them. And I am definitely not slowing down on that front, because I am seeing you guys working on these models outside of what I'm giving, and you're just going crazy with them. It's really cool to see how much you guys customize it, especially those who are taking these models into 3D programs and customizing it over there. Now, that's just as awesome as pretty much converting it in, like, once it's printed and adding your own parts to it. So both of you are very awesome people to have making my work. I absolutely love it. Now, making this the right scale was another important factor, and once I scaled it up, I did actually compare it to a Rhino, and the Rhino was almost the same size, and I got lucky, but it could have been bad. It could have been bad. Now, getting the Space Marine himself, I pretty much had to, chop and change them around. Fortunately, I have worked on all of these in previous videos, and yeah, it wasn't too much work, but yeah, getting him to sit properly was a bit weird. I had to scale the entire vehicle to make sure that it looked correct. Otherwise, it would have been very odd. He would have been too big or too small. But in the end, this is what we have come up with. Now, I started painting this. I really did. I was recording it and everything, but for some reason my computer was not capturing it properly. It was recording at like 10 frames a second, and it was basically like this kind of thing, and I was like painting, and it looked horrible, and I don't want to force that upon you. You don't have to watch that. I'm not an expert painter anyway, and this scheme I've already shown off quite a bit on previous videos. So if you want to see how to paint like this, be sure to watch a video that I just made in the past, because it's there. It's pretty much just a really dirty, rusty, crappy look. That's pretty much what I'm going for with my army. So, yep, that's what we have. Now, I'm certain 150% of you, or 110%, whatever the number it is, you guys are going to do an awesome job at painting this. So if you are printing and painting these, please share them so I can see them. I absolutely love seeing your work, especially over on Instagram. We've actually just hit, I think, 201 hashtags of Vidovic Arts, so that's really cool. So definitely keep sharing your work over there. I love that you guys are customizing these and printing them and painting them. It's just awesome. It's really cool to be able to get in touch with the very people who are working on these. So that about wraps up this video, and like I said at the start, I am leaving Thingiverse. Bear in mind, I will be announcing this more officially, and I'll elaborate why in the next video. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and yeah, we will see you in the next one. A huge thanks to my Patreon supporters, as always. So yeah, huge thanks, and I'll keep you guys in the loop with what's going on with this Thingiverse thing. Alright, as always, stay awesome, everybody. See you guys. Oh, that sounded like a skid, didn't it? That's not a very good skid. Yeah, lovely. Looks like he's drifting though, doesn't it? It's kind of cool. I could see this model being in like a diorama of some sort, like turning around a corner, and yeah. Oh yeah, this guy swivels. That's another little cool fact. Yeah.